Okay, could you please tell me what was your second assignment about?
So my second assignment, we had to write a creative piece. It was a 1,600 word. So we had a choice between poetry or prose. I chose to do a prose, which is a 1,600 word plus or minus 10% short story, or a sort of section of like a longer work.
Was it similar to the previous assignment, to the first assignment?
Yeah, it was pretty similar.
In what ways it was similar?
So it was sort of the centerpiece, bulk of it was a creative piece of fiction. Or not necessarily fiction, but I did fiction, but creative writing piece. And then with a sort of, an exegetical, I don't know what you'd call it, like extra, sort of section as well. So in the first assignment, it was like a statement of intent before introducing the piece. And in this one, it was a sort of an afterword exegesis, talking about decisions made in the writing the piece, talking about the thought process and why made certain decisions and the themes and that sort of thing. And the piece had to respond in some way, be inspired by, respond in some way to a theoretical reading from a list of theoretical readings that we'd been reading over the trimester, over the course of the unit. So that we all had to select an excerpt our piece was inspired in some way by.
So if you reflect on your experience writing your previous assignments, what have you learned about writing an assignment like this?
I think the time needed is a big one.
Yeah.
1,600 word story doesn't initially sound like that much. It's not too hard to just, I guess, usually to just draft out 1,600 words of a sort of a creative stream of story. But actually revising, crafting it, thinking carefully about the decisions made, the editing process, and leaving room to be able to, and then workshopping it to get feedback, and then working that feedback into the editing process, all adds up to quite a lot of time spent.
So have your idea about what good writing like this have changed? What do you think are the features of good essay like creative piece now?
I would say, I think a focus on the concrete detail is a big thing. Something that was really, I already had an idea of beforehand, but has really been sort of sharpened through this process. Is seeing the difference between those students whose pieces are very bit sort of ethereal or generic in their language or descriptions, and those that focus on real concrete detail and specifics, specific characters, specific scenes, a very specific setting.
Yeah. So how did you find out that this is a good feature? This is a feature of a good essay like this. How did you find out? I mean, it was about your experience in writing your previous assignments, feedback on previous assignments, talking to peers, or anything else.
Yeah, a mixture of those things. One was instruction in lectures and tutorials.
Uh-huh.
Also, the workshopping process, being able to see students' work that like those that stood out as stronger than others, and seeing students and teachers' feedback on how to improve, and seeing those recurring sort of themes of the things weaker pieces were lacking, and the things that stronger pieces were doing really well, and feedback on my first assignment a little bit as well encouraged me to go even deeper than I already was on putting in those real concrete, specific description.
Can you give me an example of one of those feedback on your first assignments that helped you actually?
Did you want me to look it up and read it, or just off the top of my head?
If it is, if you can remember, it's okay. If not, you can look at your...
I'll just quickly have a look.
Oh, okay, take your time.
So on my first assignment, my marker left feedback saying, it was a script, like a film script, and she said that in terms of where or how the script might be developed further, she's left comments throughout the document suggesting places where I can afford to be even more specific with my attention to image or visual detail. That I do this impressively for the most part, but at times could sharpen even further the precision of my language and its ability to convey the moving image. And then throughout the Turnitin marked up document, there's a few places where they suggested, where they pointed to specific lines and suggested that it could be made even more visually specific in the description rather than more generic phrase.
And what other features do you think a good essay like a creative piece can have?
I think it's sort of economy of language is a big one. Not being unnecessarily, really being hard with yourself on cutting unnecessary words. Shortening sentences that are unnecessarily long and wordy, and getting things, trying to get things really concise and clean as possible. Really helps to let the story shine and come through instead of the reader being bogged down, sort of slogging through.
So how did you find out about this feature actually?
Through that was something mentioned in our lectures. Also through my own personal research, reading of books about writing, and also through the workshop feedback.